So this is part 2 of our 700 horsepower JK build that we had going on. The first round was going after the interior, the cage setup, the accessories we had mounted to it, and a little bit of the engine bay. This section is, we have the body off the frame now, and we're going into final fitment before we send the exhaust system out for coating. And we're going to start plumbing the hard lines for the brake lines, fuel system, and the transmission cooler lines as well. And then everything else, the cables for the T-case, all that stuff will be done now. And we just finished running the tail sections to finish up our exhaust system. This is a 427 cubic inch LS7 build from Mast. It's about 700 horsepower. We did fully forged rotating assembly. It's factory dry sump with a set of Mast 285cc heads. On the accessory drive, we're running a 250 amp CBM alternator to power all the extra accessories this Jeep will have. We're also running a PSC Motorsports pump in the factory location and an ATI balancer, just a little bit smoother at higher RPMs. We topped it off with an MSD air intake to open up the intake a little more to match the cylinder heads that we put on this thing. And then we did a set of custom stainless headers that are 1 7/8". They're going to flow all the way back to 2 MagnaFlow mufflers. And then we're going to dump the tips right in front of the rear axle right before the Genright rear crossmember. Backed by Maximum Transmissions 4L80 and a 2-speed Atlas with a 3-to-1 ratio. Followed up, we just finished fitting our drive shafts for the last time, checking measurements, making sure throughout the range of suspension motion they're good. And then we also added extra heat shielding underneath on the body, just because of how much heat this motor will make. Even though the exhaust system will be coated, we added extra DEI heat shielding so that it doesn't transfer to the cabin, since the cabin will be coated with bed liner to seal it.
We've separated the body from the frame again and allowed us to get in here. And what we've done, since we're not going to use any of the factory wiring on the firewall and stuff, we've removed all the studs that hold the wiring in place. And once this thing is all done, it'll go to the body shop and all this stuff's going to get body worked, and the firewall's going to get resprayed so that way it looks factory again, but it'll be way smoother than it was originally because it's not going to have any of those ugly studs on it that we won't need to mount when we actually go to final assembly. Everything that we do as far as wiring is going to be tucked away, loomed up tight. It won't be mounted to the firewall like they are factory. So we've removed some brackets and some tabs and stuff off of there, cleaned it up a little bit, and then we've also pulled the roll cage out of the tub so that we can do all the final welding on the areas that you can't get to with it bolted into the tub. And we'll show you that next. So this is our little fab room that we build and weld and cut and trim and all the little stuff that we do. We try to keep it contained in this room so that way it stays clean and away from all the finished vehicles. So we've basically pulled the cage out of the Jeep body, and in order to get to all these areas where the welds are back behind the dash or they're up underneath the body and stuff where we can't get to them inside the vehicle, we do all the welding we can with it inside the tub, bolted to the frame, so that way minimizes the amount of flex and distortion you get from welding the cage. But at a certain point we have to pull it out and do all the final welding in the areas we can't get to. So that's what we're doing now. Our guy Corey comes in and does all the final passes on the cage. We're getting this one prepped up because what we're going to do is we'll do a fine Scotch-Brite over the whole cage, and then we'll do final welding and everything, and then the cage goes out to get powder coated. It'll get clear powder coated, so that way you'll see all the welds. Everything will be very exposed, and you know, that way everybody can see the quality that we're doing here, and we're not hiding anything with thick powder coat or anything like that. Next time you see it, we should have the majority of the chassis put back together, all the plumbing done, and all the skid plates and everything on. And then should be getting ready to reassemble the body and get the cage and stuff back in. Just depends on how long that stuff gets hung up in paint and powder coat and stuff.